Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today with Aringo, and we're going to be talking about the journey and a 60-day plan to tackle your round two deadlines. So excited to share that with you. Thank you again to GMAT Club for having us and hosting this today. Very exciting. So before we started, just note that you can use the comments tab to be able to ask questions, and I'll try to ask some of them while we're live, but if I don't get to them, I will definitely try to get to them by the end of the session. So super excited for everyone. And just a quick plug, one, like and share this video if you feel like it's worthwhile for you and your friends. But other than that is that next week is MBA Spotlight. So please join us on GMAT Club as we dive into all the different schools, which could be very helpful for our plan today. Awesome. Okay, we're going to get started. And again, if you have questions, you can type them in the comments box, and I will try to answer them as we go. All right. So if you're here today, it means that you are interested in submitting an application in round two with not a lot of time left. So 60 days to submit an application. I'm Jen Turchnow, CEO of Aringo MBA Admissions. We've been around for about 20 years. I've been in admissions for about 10 years myself, a little over a decade. And we know these schools inside and out, and we're here to help you. We help clients every day with their applications. Over 4,000 applicants have gotten admitted with Aringo at their side, and we help with all parts of the application. So I will include my information at the end. So if you do have questions, I'm here to help. So round two, this is the time of truth, or anyways, it's the time, right? And so as we're moving through this process, it's good to know that one, obviously the clock is ticking and every minute counts. But you also have to do this with some precision because there's a lot of things and moving parts. So obviously you don't want to wait to get started. Don't put this off any longer. It is time to start. So here we go. We developed two different cases. One of them is if you are working on the application and the GMAT, GRE, or whatever exam you need at the same time. So this is definitely going to be a more rigorous course. So we'll cover that one first, lightly go over the same kind of protocol for those who have already taken the GMAT and GRE and have a score in hand. So let's get started. Now, this plan I'm basing on you start today, but obviously you can adjust if you end up starting a little bit later, but rough deadline or rough dates here. So that first week in your 60-day plan, you're going to go ahead and set your goal and set a target test date. You want to schedule the exam so that you have something to work for. And we say to do this by week 5, which is around the second week of December, if we stay this course, right? So this will give us plenty of time to get the exam done. And if needed, there's potential for a second exam if it's needed. So set your goal, set your target of when you're going to be taking the exam, get all of your study materials organized and get going. Again, there's a lot of resources here on GMAT Club that can help you with this part of the process. As far as the MBA portion of this, like what am I going to be doing about the applications and schools, this is where you're going to start looking at your school list. Okay, I want to target 5 to 8 schools, which is about normal for an application cycle, is that candidates will apply to 5 to 8. You may have to narrow that down even more based on your timeline. So start at the 5 to 8 schools and think about like what they are. And then after that, you want to start working on your MBA resume. I think we have several different presentations on this, but the resume for an MBA is different from the job application resume. So make sure that you are kind of doing some critiques to that and matching what the admissions committee is looking for. So there's week 1. Week 2, we're going to move into test prep intensive. So you'll be spending about 80% of your time on the test prep. And so that's making sure that you're working, you're eating, you're sleeping, and you're prepping. As far as schools go, you want to start talking to your recommenders, because this is one of the parts of your application you cannot control is somebody else. This outside factor, you need to make sure that they're ready. There's holidays that come up towards the round 2 deadlines or January deadlines. And so you want to make sure that you're talking to them and they're getting ready to be in position to write these letters of recommendation. So prime the pump, let them know it's going to happen. Then you want to start to work on your core essays. So you want to be able to start outlining what your career goals are, and think about why MBA, why now, the whys. And so after that, the next week, again, you're going to stay really steady with that test prep. And then you'll start doing your school research, working on finding out what is so great about each one of these individual schools, looking at not just the school itself, but also the curriculum. What are the classes that are really standing out to me? What clubs, activities do I want to do? What's special about the location? And then what is it about the school that feels like it's the right fit? So the personality, have you spoken with any current students, that type of thing. And I would highly recommend this is where you kind of start doing that and making some connections. And then by week 4, you need to take a mock exam, right? So this is your time to do that practice test, see where your scores are landing, and then that will help you with kind of finalizing this list almost. As far as your application, you want to start working on all the data and okay, here's what I'll say. You need to download your transcripts to be able to input that information into all the application portals for each one of these schools. So start getting all of your materials organized, your data organized. And typically the best practice is to put it either in a Word doc, spreadsheet, whatever it might be, so that you can kind of cut and paste that typical data that you need to enter into the application form itself. So you can start gathering that and get a leg up on that process. Now, week 5 is the big week, right? So if we are on this schedule of you started your prep and you're on our 60-day plan starting today, then December 10th-ish, you'll take your exam, right? It feels like that's not very far away, but this is your opportunity to really get things in line so that we are ready for these deadlines. And so take the exam and then afterwards take a break. Just regroup and enjoy not having to do that again, hopefully. Start outlining the essays for your first two target schools. You'll go through a checklist of sending all the materials that you need to the schools, whether that's, some schools will require that you send in your transcripts, if you're international, your English language requirements, anything that's needed for the application, start getting those in a line. And then again, you want to talk to your recommenders and give them an outline of, what you would like them to kind of cover. On the Ringo website, we do have different recommendation letter contents. Sorry, you can find out what each one of the schools are looking for in their recommendation letters and kind of prep your recommender for them. So you can check out on our Ringo's website what those recommendation letters are asking. So you can say like, okay, so here they're going to ask about leadership or about a time that you needed to provide constructive feedback. A really great thing is to revisit the reviews you've had as an employee. Those might be the best source for information and consideration for your recommender to think about how to answer some of these questions. Then you're going to start the next week working on draft 1 of your essays. And so the core essays, kind of why MBA, why now, what are your short-term, what are your long-term goals? That's, what you're going to be focusing on. And then the why our school, right? Like they really want to feel like they're your number one choice. So you want to make sure you get this essay right. And then start opening those applications for the schools on your list and starting to put in all the information that's required. And then the next week, you'll start working on polishing your essays and start submitting potentially. So, you want to be able to not only upload the essays, but be ready for the short answer questions that are within the application themselves. Sometimes it's tricky and you're like, oh, it only has 3 essays, but oh, wait, there's like 5 short answer questions built into this application itself that I need to prepare for. So definitely be prepared for those and what you need to write and what you need to share there. And then I think that this is where you're going to set the timeline or deadline for the recommender. I typically say tell them that it's due a week before it's actually due. That way there's no slip ups or any issues or confusion. You have a little bit of a buffer on your own to be able to get them submitted if you have to kind of like herd cats to get it done. Okay. So then we're at week 8, December 31st, New Year's Eve. You can hopefully submit your first 1 to 2 applications. And I mean, this is really crazy. Like thinking in, 60 days, I can submit 2 applications and take my exam. Now, give or take a little bit on that, depending on where you are with your readiness for the exam itself or writing essays, etc. But if everything feels like it can actually follow this timeline, what we've kind of set up is for you to submit 2 schools by January 3rd, or I'm sorry, December 31st, which means that you likely still have another week or so to potentially get another 1 or 2 applications in. But what I would do is set the priority list of, okay, these are the 2 schools I absolutely want to submit in round 2. No matter what, I'm getting these done. And then from there, you will be able to add in some additional schools if time permits. So, all right. So let's talk about this plan if you've already completed your exam. Now, no doubt, if you've already done your exam, you have a little bit more leeway. You have more time to start working and networking and kind of do a little bit more of a deeper dive than you would if you're still working on your exam, right? Like we're not, it is what it is if you're working on your exam. But if you're not working on your exam, like you have a really great timeline. This is a great time to start. This is ideally what I tell my clients, like especially if you applied in round 1 and are not getting the results that you thought you would get, or not getting those interview invites or potentially waitlist, and you want to think about backup schools. November is the time to get started on those second schools. So again, week 1, we're looking at the foundation and the strategy. Then we move into a deep dive on the schools. By week 3, you're starting to work on drafts of your essay. And then week 4, we're kind of working on short answers and draft number 2. And here we go. Easily by the second week of December, you are working on submitting your first full school, completing all of the materials necessary and getting everything submitted and polished. And then by week 6, you're submitting the second school or getting everything aligned for the second school. and then you're submitting your application even a week earlier than the 60 days, so to say. So would that be, you'd be at 53 days, I guess. But then you have the ability to, again, add on additional schools within the next 2 to 3 weeks as needed. You've already done a lot of the work. So either adding on a stretch school or a safety school, this is your opportunity to do that. Obviously, all of these schools have different deadlines. A lot of them hit on January 5th, 6th, right around that time. But then we have some that kind of extend a little bit later. So obviously, you want to be strategic about choosing which schools you're working on and be able to ensure that you're able to get the really specific ones or ones that you're targeting submitted and done and ready. And then you can work on those on the kind of outliers of like, oh man, wouldn't it be amazing if I got into Booth or Wharton? There's only 2 additional essays. So just, yeah, so that's what it looks like if you don't have to worry about working on your exam. So beyond this, some keys to success and planning is to obviously start early. Again, like our plan that we shared today starts today, right? Like, and those are things that are actionable today. You can actually do this. So beyond that, you want to make sure that you're sharing your unique stories and be yourself. This is kind of that little caveat time, right? To talk about ChatGPT or AI and how you're using it in your application. It can feel like a really great resource for helping with expedite your timeline. Now, it can definitely help with your school research. You can even kind of chat with ChatGPT or whatever platform you want to use, but you can chat with them and talk about what you're looking for, and then they can maybe help you find some schools that make sense. But when it comes to sharing your stories, that's the hardest part, is for that to translate and to fit there. So there's a way where using AI could actually slow you down if you're trying to do your personal stories through AI. Like, and a lot of schools will have a button or a checkbox or some moment to kind of cite if you've used AI during the application process. And you can do that. And you can say, I used it to do school research, or I did it to refine or, edit my application. But obviously, I think like what they're really looking for is making sure that you're not using it to create your stories, and to make sure that you have strong stories that are detailed enough that they get to know you and they're not on the surface level. All right. So beyond that, you want to proofread and make sure that there are no typos, have somebody else read your application. And I say read, like read it aloud, because that's when I think you find a lot of errors, is like when you can't get through the sentence. You're like, wait, I just can't, it doesn't make sense. And so read it aloud yourself, or have somebody else do that and see, where those mistakes could be coming in. And again, like you can have somebody else help you, or, you can also work with a consultant. If this all feels a little overwhelming of like, oh, like, I don't know that I can actually get this all done and keep track of things and submit a fantastic application all at the same time, then that's where somebody like Ringo could come in. And that's what we do day in, day out. We know these schools. We can help you with curating your stories that are going to resonate with the admissions committee. And we're going to really help you submit the best possible application that you can for these schools. Yeah. So beyond that, you should definitely be doing your networking. Make sure that you connect with some current students. I think during MBA Spotlight next week, I will be doing a presentation on the 3 conversations that you need to have before you submit your application, including, AdCom, your current students and your alumni, and what those conversations look like, how to find those people. So yeah, tune in next week for that. All right. So there's not much else left to say about this very fast 60-day plan. But it's definitely doable. And I think like that's half the battle is getting over this of being afraid that it isn't possible or being intimidated by the process. If you start to break it down into these little chunks, make your to-do list, then you can achieve this by January. All right. So if you guys have questions, please use the comments tab to ask any questions that you have, and I'll be answering those. Beyond that, I do have these plans in a 60 or in an Excel sheet as well. So if you want the plan, email me and I'll send it to you. If you're kind of still on the edge of deciding if an MBA is the right thing, this is the right time, you can always do a profile evaluation. Just scan the QR code and set up a time for us to chat there. All right, let me check the queue and see if anybody has anything that they're sharing. It looks like crickets, like nobody's had any questions. So what I will say is that don't let this intimidate you. You have people around you that are here to help. So take your time, be thoughtful and deliberate and strategic in your plan. And it's definitely possible, and you can get into these top MBA programs. All right. So we went through this presentation very quickly, but if you have questions, we'll stay on for just a few more minutes, and then beyond that, start working on your plan. All right, and I'm going to put the link for my calendar also in the chat so that you can also schedule a time with your calendar. If you don't have the ability to schedule it right now, you can just take this link and sorry, I'm trying to like operate two screens. So I'm going to, oh, actually I'll have Abhijit add my calendar link there. So again, if you want to have this 60-day plan emailed to you, please email me and I'll send it over. Or if you have questions, please reach out via profile evaluation. I'm here to help. All right, so we'll see you guys next week at our MBA Spotlight Fair, and we'll speak soon. Thanks. Have a great day and good luck.